Welcome to the Alakus podcast. This is class number 2. This is in the first discourse in the Sefer Tafresh Ayin Beis Besha'ah Shehikdimu. Today's class was dedicated by Bluma Rapaport, and this is in honor and for the redemption of all the hostages and personal redemption for Jews everywhere. And the entire first discourse that we're going to be learning, which is probably going to be about 15 classes, was dedicated for the schus of Refuah Sheleimo for Avraham Ben Parvin and for blessings for the entire family. Thank you. Okay, so yesterday we began the discourse. We began by introducing what it says in the Gemara and the Talmud in Masechta Shabbos, where it says that God crowned the Jewish people. When we said Nasa v'nishma, we will do and we will hear, we were crowned with 2 crowns. The angels came down, the malachim, they brought 2 crowns, one of them corresponding to the doing and one of them in response to the hearing, as that's what it says. Now it seems like, as the Maamor says, it seems like that the excitement above was because, number one, they accepted, because they're giving 2 crowns. It seems like there was a double excitement. The first thing that was made an impact above was that they accepted the Torah. They accepted to listen to the Torah, to observe the commandments. And the second one was the degree of the acceptance. It was so deep that the commitment was so strong that we said to Hashem, we don't even have to hear what you say. No matter what you're asking for us, we are devoted to you limitlessly. That's the idea. And that's why it's not just you deserve a crown, but you deserve double crown. That's the idea. However, as the Maamor says, if that would be the case, then the wording should have been, at the time, Shehikdimu nasa l'nishma, when they prefaced, we will do and we will hear, they were given 2 crowns. One of them was for nasa v'nishma, the fact that you said you're going to do and you're going to hear. And the other one was echad, and one of them was before you were Shehikdimu nasa l'nishma. Not only did you say you're going to do and you're going to hear, but you put the do before the hear, which was extraordinary because most responses would be, let us hear first and then we will do. But because you were so devoted, I'm giving you 2 crowns. That's what it implies. But if you continue reading, it says, why were they given the 2 crowns? Echot keneged nasa, one was for the doing, the echot keneged nishma, and one was for the hearing. Which means that the doing and the hearing, each one on their own, deserve their own crown. Meaning that itself suffices for the 2 crowns. Not so much because you put the nishma, you put the listening before, the nasa, the hearing before the nishma. So let's read it inside. In the second line, we just started yesterday, this that the crowns were given to them, because they prefaced the doing before the hearing. But if they would have put first the hearing before the doing, they would not have received the 2 crowns. And that is because the hearing is for the sake of the doing, which means that if you say you're going to do something, obviously you have to hear first what is being said. You can't do without hearing. So then the hearing, the fact that you're listening, is part of the doing. If you commit a complete doing, you're going to do no matter what, and then you say you're going to hear, so obviously then the hearing means something in addition. Doesn't mean just hearing what is being said. It means absorbing, completely identifying what is said. In other words, you're already committed to do. Now you're upgrading it. You're going to really, really absorb it. Then we can understand that the hearing stands on its own and it deserves its own crown. But if it's just, I will hear and I will do, then the hearing is part of the process. When you give someone a thank you for you ask someone a favor, it's a thank you, not for first listening to you and then giving you. It's one thing, because the listening was for the sake of the hearing. That's what he's saying. However, the wording afterwards, echad neged nasa, one is for the nasa, and the echad keneged nishma, one is for the hearing. Mashma, it implies shashnei ksarim, that the 2 crowns, hen rak mishim sha'amru nasa v'nishma, is only for each one, just because they said nasa and they said nishma. Sharei einoi oimer, because it doesn't say The clearest way of stating this would have been to say, Echad neged nasa v'nishma. One is as a result, because they said we will do and we will hear. The echad, and one of them, neged ma shehikdimu nas l'nishma. Why does it become extra special? Because you put you said the nasa we will do before you will hear. It doesn't say that. It just says plain, one for the nasa and one for the nishma. Where does it state in the end of the passage of the Talmud that the quality is that they put first the nasa before the nishma? We will do and we will hear, which was the implication at the beginning of the statement. At the beginning of the statement, Besha'ah, at the time that they put the nasa before the nishma, it highlights that, but in the end it doesn't highlight it. Okay, just important to note regarding the questions. This is learning a discourse like this is different than usually hearing a Dvar Torah. A regular Dvar Torah, the questions are very important in the sense that your real reason why you're listening to the whole thing is because you have a question on the pasuk, on the verse, and you want an answer. Over here in Maamorim, this is just important to understand, in all the discourses, the questions and the answers are very secondary, which means that we're probably not going to get an answer to this. I don't know exactly where. It might be at the end of the entire book. It might be somewhere in the middle, which means it might be in 10 years from now or in 3 years from now that we're going to get the answer. The questions and the answers were only serving as an interlude into the subject matter. It's a pathway in, and it's connecting it to the time. So we're not going to spend too much time analyzing the questions because we want to get into the meat of the discourse. We also need to understand question number 2. Why the giving of the crowns were through the angels. It says that when they said we will do and we will hear, God sent down the angels. It doesn't say God sent, it says the angels descended and brought them two crowns. So we see that the angels are the ones that bring the crowns. So we have to understand, why are the angels the one that do this? Now, what's wrong with the angels? Do we have any issue with the angels? No. But we do find it would be nicer if God himself would give it to us. And we actually find that in the Midrash. The Midrash says in Parshas Kedoshim, Seif Perik Chav Dalid, this is Midrash Rabbah, in the end of in Parshas Kedoshim, in the end of chapter 22. There is an analogy to a king who his subjects of the province or of the country, they presented the king with 3 crowns. And the Medrash is referring to by the angels. They say to God, Kadosh, 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 holy, holy, holy. So they give. So this would be analogous. When you're saying Kadosh, that's like giving a crown. So like when the king came to visit a certain province of his kingdom, and the people brought him a gift, they brought him 3 crowns. What did the king do? He took one of the crowns. He only has one head. So he took one of the crowns and placed it on his head. Now he has 2 extra crowns. So he put them on his children, on the prince's heads. So the Midrash continues. The supernal beings, every day they crown God. Gimel Ataris, they give him 3 crowns. Shen Gimel Kedoshas, these are the 3 times that we know that the angels say, holy, holy, holy. So when they say holy, 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 they are producing with their powerful praise 3 crowns for God. What did God do? Natal Echad, Hashem takes one for himself, V'nasan Beroisha, and he places it on his own head, Vishnayim Nasan Beroish Banav. And 2 of these crowns he places on the heads of his children. Harei, so we see from here, the Nesines Ha'atareis U'Makadosh Baruch Hu Ba'atzma. It's a beautiful midrash. Such a beautiful midrash. Just imagine that for a moment. That God every day places upon our heads 2 crowns. And it's very much consistent with what it says happened at Sinai, that God gave the Jewish people 2 crowns. The only difference, obvious difference, is over here it says that God places on his children's head. When the Talmud in Masechta Shabbos records how it happened at Sinai, it says the angels came down and brought the crowns. So we need to understand why the difference. On the daily crowns, it seems like God himself is putting it on our heads, and the Sinai crowns is through the angels. We would think maybe the opposite, that by Sinai, by Har Sinai, it was like the moment we said Nasa v'Nishma. It's not like just God ends up with some spare crowns and he gives it on our head, but rather it's because we did something amazing, and God Himself says, "Oh, I better go get you some crowns." You would think that God Himself would put it on our heads, and here we say no, that He sends it through the angels. As the angels came, and they tied the crowns. However, there is a little bit in that midrash as well. There's a little involvement of the angels, because how did God receive the crowns? To begin with, it says that the angels, the supernal beings above, Elyonim, the ones above, they are the ones who crown Hashem. Over there as well it says, Elyonim machtirim. The supernal beings above, they're the ones who crown Hashem. Okay, so we find angels there. It's just a little different. Over here, the angels are the transporter of the crowns. They're not the maker of the crowns. They're the transporter of the crowns. Or they don't originate the crowns. They just are the shluchim. They're just the emissaries or the agents to bring the crown, the delivery service. And but versus the midrash statement, it seems that they're not the delivery. They're the ones who originate the crowns, and then God is the one who delivers the crown. Okay. So basically what he's doing over here is he's going to give us a whole lot of information about the crown, because the essence of the first discourse is going to be to explain the concept of keter, crown. We know in Kabbalah, mysticism, there is this level that transcends the 10 Sefirot, and it's called Keser, the crown. So it's going to be a discussion about that level of crown. But first he's bringing in a lot of the concepts of crown that we find amongst the sages in midrashic talk and so forth. Now we go to tractate Ethics of the Fathers, which we're studying actually now during the time of between Pesach and Shavuos. We studied tractates of Avos. So it says over there, it says Gimul Ksarim Hein. There are 3 crowns. In general, if you want to know crowns, the story with crowns, you should know there are 3 crowns. What are they? Keser Torah, there is the crown of Torah. Keser Kahuna, there is the crown of Kahuna, which means priestlyhood. The Keser Malchus, and there's the crown of royalty. 3 crowns. Meaning, earlier we said that there is 3 crowns given to God, but we don't have any differentiation between the crowns. By the giving of the Torah, it mentions 2 crowns, and it gives 2 different reasons for the crowns. In other words, there is a different intention in the crown, but not a difference in the crown itself. It doesn't say that the crown is a different type of crown. But in Mishnah, Masechtas Avos, over here we already learn that perhaps the 3 crowns that have been mentioned earlier, now we have already the content, they're slightly different, or they're different. Every crown is a different crown. One of them is a crown of Torah. What does that mean? That when a person is a scholar, then he's crowned, he's adorned with it, and it's an invisible crown, but it's a certain honor, like a crown is an honor. Who wears a crown? Someone who's honored. So a person who's dignified, a person who's a cut above the rest. So a scholar deserves respect and honor for his Torah, and that's the one crown, the crown of Torah. Second crown, a Kohen. Not everybody has permission to officiate in the temple. A Kohen is gifted with a special blessing of God, special quality, and we're supposed to honor the Kohen. So you have to really look, and you can imagine on top of every Kohen's head is a crown. And then there's the third crown, and that is the crown of royalty. A king wears a crown. So not everybody's a king. We only have one king for a generation. That's the way it's supposed to be. The time of a certain time in history, the kingdom split into 2, but the king is the ruler. It's a separate crown. So we have the 3 crowns. But then the Mishnah says, "V'keser Shem Tov Oil al Gabein." Then the Mishnah somehow slips in a 4th crown. The crown of a good name rises above them. In other words, a person that has a good name generally means they do a lot of good in the world, and they earn themselves a good name. So this crown is greater than all the other crowns. So we have a 4th crown. Harei, so now, Shehikdimu Ksarim. Now the first question he's going to ask is, looking at the beginning of the Mishnah, it's like everything in Torah, everything in Judaism forces you to look deeper. Because the way things are stated originally are usually so questionable. So it's written seemingly so not incorrect. It's written incorrectly, incoherent, right? So before we get into the details of this Mishnah, let's the first question that he's asking, in other words, the obvious question, are there 3 crowns or are there 4 crowns? And if there are 4, why doesn't he say there are 4? Why does he start there are 3? Okay, so we'll leave that for a moment. That's going to be a question. But first, in reference to what we talk, going back to Sinai, at Har Sinai, it says God gave us 2 crowns. Hold it. If there are 3 crowns, why didn't we get a 3rd one? Why did we only get 2? Well, we only deserve 2 because we said Nasa v'Nishma. Yeah, but if God is somehow bringing out the crowns, we should have gotten all 3. Especially as Jews, we're not happy just with 2. We want the 3rd one too. So that's the question. In the tzarech lahavin, we need to understand. Hold on. V'gam tzarech lahavin, masha kasbim. Oh no, where is it over here? Harei sheyesh gimel kasarim. So there are 3 crowns. V'kanoi Meron over here he says shekashu lem rak beis kasarim, that they were placed on their heads only 2 crowns. And so what happened with the 3rd crown? Okay. V'gam tzarech lahavin masha kasbim. Now you can answer that, like, who assumes that we're supposed to get all the crowns? We deserve 2. We got 2. Okay. But again, as I mentioned to you, the questions are not like absolute questions, but the idea is just to open up the subject. We can notice, and we can obviously the answer is going to, once we get to the deep understanding of the whole subject, then all these things are going to fall into place automatically, and we're going to see how perfect the statement of the sages were when they stated these statements. But again, not to get too caught up on the nitty-gritty of the questions, because I'm sure everybody listening can come up with some of your own original answers to this. Now we continue. We also need to understand what it says in the Mishnah. Gimel Ksarim, it starts in the Mishnah. The way it says is that it introduces 3 crowns. But Hareim Bepratis and Dalit Ksarim. But in detail there are 4. Im Keser Shem Tov, with the crown of a good name. So then, if that's the case, why initially doesn't it say that there are 4 crowns? And they should open up the Mishnah, say there are 4 crowns, and you want to tell me that one of them is extra special. Say, these 3, and the 4th one is much greater than all the others. Fine. And now we can... He doesn't ask this, but then obviously once we find that there are 4, so then we really feel like, oh, come on, we really cheated out at Sinai, that we only got 2 out of the 4. Not only 2 out of the 3, but we got 2 out of 4. In any case, he doesn't say that. But let's continue. Also, we need to understand, what does it mean regarding the 4th crown? It rises above them all. Why doesn't he just say it's greater? Ha-chashuv mikol, the one that is more, or gedula mikol. What does it mean? Oila al gabeim. It rises upon top of them. It almost seems to imply that you put it's like you take the 4th crown and you put it on top of the other 3 crowns. So now you end up kind of with the 3 crowns, which they themselves are crowned with a 4th crown. That the crown of good name crowns the crown of Torah, and it crowns the crown of priestlyhood, of kahuna, and it crowns the crown of malchus, of royalty. So what does that mean? Now let's go a little deeper into the 3 crowns. The 3 crowns, okay, now is when it starts, the Maamor starts to get mystical. It starts introducing already spiritual ideas. Now the 3 crowns, which are Keser Torah, the aforementioned crowns, the crown of Torah, the crown of Kahuna, and the crown of Malchus, B'derech Klal, in general, and B'gimel Kavan, they are related to the 3 channels, the three columns. It is explained in mysticism, in Jewish mysticism, that all emanation of God to the creation comes in 3 channels or in 3 columns: the right side, the left side, and the middle side, which are different types of energy. The right side, so if you take a look, anybody that ever saw the Sphera chart, the chart of the attributes, you will see that they're set up in a way. There's the right side, and there is some attributes are on the right. There's a configuration, and there's attributes on the left, and then there is the middle. Well, for example, we start with Chachma. Chachma, wisdom, is on the right, on the upper right side. Bina is on the upper left side. Das, knowledge, is in the center. And then you go down lower, there's another triangle. Chesed is on the right side, kindness. Gevura, strength and might, is on the left side. Tiferes and beauty and or splendor is in the middle. And so you go on. So what he's saying is the three crowns are related to these three channels. The keser kuhuno b'kava yamin. The crown of the priestlyhood belongs on the right side, because the energy of the Kohen and the spiritual power of the Kohen is the power of the right. The right is the energy of chesed, of kindness. Kindness in general means revelation, opening up towards something and somebody. Your kindness of your soul is your ability to open yourself up towards others and to give to others, to share with others, to reveal yourself to others. The left side of the soul is the opposite energy, the energy of closing into yourself, contracting inward. The power of Gevura is the power of contraction. The power of Chesed is more of a power of attraction. It's an opening, it's a revelation, so a Kohen energy is a power of kindness. And just and simply, when you meet a Kohen, you're meeting a kind person. Kohanim now it doesn't mean that every Kohen is the nicest guy. Kohanim actually also have a certain level of impatience to them. They can get angry quickly, but in general they're nice people. I'm a Kohen, I'm a nice guy. In any case, no. But the idea, the Kohanim, the energy of Kohanim. Why? You see that Kohanim are given the mitzvah to bless people. Blessing is kindness. One of the greatest blessings we can, and that's why the first thing when God speaks to Abraham is all about blessings, right? Abraham, we know, is chesed, is kindness, and Hashem says to Avraham Avinu, I will bless you. V'yei bracha, you will be a blessing. V'avarcha mevarechecha, I will bless those who bless you. Because Avram is kindness, he's the source of blessing. Kohanim we're given the mitzvah to bless people. Any Jew can bless. We're a blessed people, and we can bless. But the blessings of a Kohen are really, really potent, because their soul is made up of chesed energy. And so that the keser kuhunu, so therefore the crown of kuhuna. Say, but before we get into explaining the crown, but since he's going to explain the three elements of kuhuna, Torah, and Malchus, and he's going to place them in their proper space, and then based on that he's going to explain and then in each one there is a crown. Obviously the crown is a very lofty level, in that realm, a very lofty level, but we have to understand that the reason there are three crowns, it's because it's a crown of kindness, the crown of kahuna. And the crown of Torah is a different type of a crown, not of kindness, but a different one, as we're going to see. Now he's first going to continue to explore the idea that a Kohen is kindness. As it is known, the Kohen that the Kohen is the element of kindness. Like it says, it says in Tehillim, in Psalms, it says, you are a Kohen forever. Va'ata Kohen, I think it's referring to God. And we're saying you are the Kohen forever. In which sense? But what does this mean? Va'ata Kohen. So how does he prove from here? Where does it say kindness? It doesn't mention kindness over here. He says, yeah, the very fact that we use the word va'ata and you, that's indicating kindness. What does that mean? When we are referring to anybody, I can say him or I can say you. Him is obviously, we're talking or him or her, the male or female, or I say you. What's the difference? When the person is in front of us, revealed to us, we say you. If the person is hidden and concealed, we say him. Referring to God, a lot of times we speak about him. We say Baruch Hu, blessed is he. And other blessings. When we speak about God, that when we say the word Hu, Baruch Hu u Baruch Shemo, blessed is he and blessed is his name. But then there are times when we say Baruch Ata, blessed are you. Now when we can say to God, Baruch Ata, that's already God's kindness. Why? Because God is revealing himself to us, that we're literally standing in front of him and we can say Baruch Ata. And that's amazing. Every time you grab an apple to eat, God is right in front of you. God allows himself to be visibly there so you can say you. There is an element of kindness. And what's the kindness? The very fact that he gave you an apple. No? Isn't that the kindness? He's there. He's visible. He's present over there. So that's godliness, and we can say Ata you. So the fact that it says Va'ata Kohen and it says Ata, which Ata is revelation regarding Kohen, shows you that the Kohen is the revelation of Ata. And what does the Kohen do? The Kohen brings God down into the world, that God should be Ata to everybody, that God should be revealed to us all. The Kohen b'chinas chesed, this is referring to the element of chesed, the Ata b'chinas giloi. Ata is the element of revelation. Shazeu hafresh, this is the difference between Ata lahu. This is the difference between the word Ata and who. The Ata lenochach. Ata is direct. Here you are, right in front of me, and so forth. The chesed and kindness, ubchinas giloi. Chesed is an element of revelation. That's what kindness is. Kindness is when you're being kind to someone, means you're revealing yourself. You're of what you have, of what you not. If you have knowledge and you share that knowledge with someone, you're being kind. If you have money, financial means, and the other doesn't have, and you're giving it, you're revealing of yourself to that person. Sometimes you knock on someone's door, they're not answering, they don't want to have anything to do with you. That means they're hiding from you, right? Or they're I'm opening myself up to you. So that's the kindness. And kindness is the beginning of the revelation of all emotions. That means we know that there are 7 emotional attributes. Chesed is counted first. Because in general, emotion is already a certain opening up to something. The very fact, because what's an emotion? An emotion is my feeling towards something, my excitement towards something. And that means I'm already opening myself up to something. All the stuff that exists in the world that we don't have any relationship with at all, and we have no emotional bond, means we're closed from it, we're separated from it, we have nothing to do with it. But when we when we find out about something, not necessarily we will open to it. Sometimes we hear something, I'm not interested in it. When we allow something in to get us excited, means there's a certain already revelation of ourselves. We're opening. Every emotion is already an opening up. That's why the first emotion is chesed. Even if your response is going to be you're going to get very angry or upset or run away from it, the very fact that you allowed it to enter into your inner being to excite you means that you had a little chesed there. Without the chesed, which means the opening up towards it, it wouldn't excite you. So the first emotion in everything is chesed, and that's why he says emotions are called day. Day is also kindness. It's revelation. As it says in the Siddur of the Alter Rebbe in the Pirush of Baruch She'amar. Okay, today we explored the first crown, the crown of kindness. Tomorrow we're going to learn about the other 2 crowns, Be'ezus Hashem, the crown of Malchus and the crown of Kahuna, where they are positioned. Meanwhile, everyone have a great day. And Mashiach now.